Hi, and welcome to Money and Margaritas. I'm Chris.
And hi, I'm Jenny. If you're new to our channel, we are all about inspiring financial independence so that we all have the time to focus on what matters and design a life we love. So we will be covering all sorts of topics, including real estate investing, margarita recipes, how to save money, how to create cash flow, and so much more. We hope you join us.
And of course, we want to make talking about money just a little bit more fun, hence the margaritas.
Cheers.
Cheers.
In today's video, you will learn how to buy a vacation rental property in Maui. We're going to share our experience. We recently finally made it happen and purchased our rental property this January. So we wanted to share kind of the high level 8 steps that it took to make it happen. So hopefully it helps you. Okay, so the first step is number 1, determine your investment goal. So what is your investment goal? Is your goal to acquire the property just so that you can use it and vacation there and not have to, pay someone at Airbnb or VRBO to rent a place? Or is your investment goal to have it pay for itself? Or do you want to actually cash flow every month, meaning when all your expenses are paid, you're actually making money off of it as an investment? So there's a whole bunch of different strategies. For us, we wanted to make sure that, since we love Hawaii and we love Maui in particular so much, we wanted to make sure that we could get something that we could use in retirement. But the rule was, and our investment goal was, it had to 100% pay for itself. So it had to break even. Anything else you would add on that?
Yeah, so we decided to do the short-term rental route, right? So that way we can cover our costs when we're not there, but also be able to use it whenever we do want to be there.
Yep, exactly. So that's number 1. Number 2 is to research the local real estate market. And this is really to understand, what's available, as well as what areas you might want to actually be purchasing in. And what your requirements are. For us, we really liked Lahaina, and we also really like Kihei, and also just north of Kihei, and we were considering a couple other places. But we researched kind of the area, what properties we're going for, and most importantly, we really zoned in on what type of property. And our one must-have was that it had to have an ocean-facing view from the balcony. So it had to have a balcony, and you literally had to see water, because based on everything we were seeing, A, we know that's what we like when we rent, and B, those properties that actually are direct ocean facing can be rented for a lot higher than the ones that aren't.
Yeah.
And then number 3 is really connect with a local lender and get pre-qualified ahead of time. So what we learned is there's different rules. So we live in California, and I assume that the rules are similar, and they're not. So when you're purchasing, especially a property that's right on the ocean, the rules are different. So for example, if you want a beachfront property, you actually have to put 30% down, which is not the same in other states. So that's something that, for us, we're like, whoa, we're gonna have to save a lot more before we can actually make this happen once we found that out. And then the second thing is, it's so competitive. I know real estate is competitive in multiple places right now, but because it's so competitive in Maui, you really need to get pre-qualified to know how much you can afford so that you can really have a strong offer and move fast when you're needed.
Yeah, we had to put multiple offers on different places until we found one that worked for us, and really being able to pull the trigger, being pre-qualified ahead of time with the local lender, and being able to pull the trigger right away is really what set us apart.
Yep. Okay, so number 4 is research short-term occupancy rates. So because our strategy was to do short-term rentals, we really wanted to understand and run the numbers so that we actually could determine what we wanted to put an offer on. So in Maui right now, and I can cite the sources in the links below, the occupancy rate, is really high. It's over like 80%. And what we did is we actually reached out with some of the listings that were active on the market. We had our agent actually get the rental info for the last 2 years so that we could see the exact income that was coming in, how many bookings they were getting per month on average, what that occupancy rate was. And I didn't want just like the overall Maui stat. I wanted to see real properties that were in the complexes that we were interested in, that had very similar, like 1 bedroom, 1 bath, looking at the ocean, what those are renting for, and over a 12-month or a 2-year period. So that really helped me and Chris really calculate how much is actually coming in, so that we could have an idea of, hey, is this going to meet, going back to step number one, the investment goal of actually covering all the costs. Because when you think about costs, there's you have the mortgage, unless you're going to buy it outright, which I don't think is accessible for many people. You have the HOA, you have any fees that you're going to pay a property manager, you have all the electricity and utilities, cable, obviously internet, everyone expects that. So there's a lot of costs, and then obviously on top of that, taxes, almost forgot taxes. So there's a lot of costs. You want to make sure that your income coming in is actually going to cover all of that, and ideally more. So that's kind of the reason why that step is super important. We're actually going to do another video that goes into exactly how to calculate that, but we'll link that as well in the notes below.
And really, I think, it's the important thing is to be realistic, right? You want to have realistic numbers as far as your costs in order to evaluate appropriately. You don't want to miss a bunch of costs, or think it's going to be rented out 100% of the time and count on that, right? So because for one, you want to use it, right? You're not going to rent it out 100% of the time. You want to be there and use it part of the time.
I want to be surfing and snorkeling.
You just realistic numbers really make it work.
Yeah. And another thing that was interesting after doing the research that I think is useful for someone who's interested in buying a property in Valley is actually understanding their high season and low season. So what I didn't realize, in Maui, their high season is actually January, February, March. So I would assumed it was like the summer and warmer months, but it's not, because all of the humpback whales come in, and there's also a lot of travelers that are getting out of colder climates. And so January, February, March is really when you can charge the highest amount of rent per night because of that. So that's something to, once you see the numbers and get real data, you can actually make that evaluation. Okay, so number 5. So this one may seem obvious, but it's super critical. And I'm happy to also provide a link to the agent that we use, because I thought he did a great job. But essentially, set expectations with your agent. So, you need to make sure that they know that you're serious, that you have all your ducks in a row, but you really need to communicate how you expect the relationship to go, especially when you're a buyer from out of state. So for us, what that meant was, we had an agreement with our agent that, one, we proved that, hey, we're really serious about this, we're pre-qualified, etc. But second, we basically expected him, when we were ready to move, that offer needed to be in within 24 hours. And on top of that, because we weren't going to fly to Hawaii every time we had a property we wanted, we made it very clear that we were ready to put an offer in, sight unseen physically, but he needed to go and either take a video of the property, walk through and send it to us, or schedule like a FaceTime video chat with us so that he could physically walk through. Because it's really important to actually see the surroundings, because for us, that made us comfortable putting in the offer.
Yeah, it worked out really well, especially the FaceTime, or basically where he could walk around the property and we could be talking with him, and as he's walking around, showing different places, he'd say, oh, wait, stop, what was that, and he could go back, versus just a virtual video where you can't do that as much. And, he was very responsive, and I think that is key importance. He would be out there to the property, usually within an hour or two, and looking at these properties. But like Jenny mentioned, it's not just about the inside view. You also need to take into consideration what are the surroundings, right? That's going to play into both your experience and the renters that are going to enjoy your place and their experiences as well.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. So shout out to Ricardo from Sotheby's. I will again link his information, so if you want to contact him, he was great. Okay, so next up, number 6 is to actually start putting in the offer. So once you know where, you've done your research, you can actually run the math and do the numbers. What I mean by do the numbers is basically take all the information from the listing, what you can get from the agent, make sure it makes sense, and then put in the offer. And again, timing is really key. So, and expect, like Chris said earlier, it might take more than one offer, but just get the offer in. What I would add to that, and that actually leads you to number 7, is research property managers when you put the offer in. Because if your offer is accepted, you want to move fast. Every day that you're not moving along to make sure that is ready to get rented once you close is a day that you're potentially losing rental income. So we actually researched our rental property managers and went ahead and like called their references, etc. Did all that research as soon as we put in our offer, because we knew that we wanted to move fast if we closed. And we're really glad we did. We'll do another video on kind of how to select a property manager and like the things that are unique to Hawaii in a different video. But essentially what we were able to do, which I thought was amazing, is the property manager that we chose was able to completely set up everything in advance. And she basically had a team that went and they designed everything. They went and basically pre-ordered all the furniture, the decorations, etc. And they had a handyman waiting. So as soon as we closed, they could get in, get the property ready. And I kid you not, they turned that place around in about 10 days from when we closed to when the first guest could come in. It was pretty incredible. So I highly recommend Sunny Maui Vacations. We will link that as well. And again, we'll have a whole video specifically on that and kind of how that worked and why it was so successful.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's a little bit different if you have a place on an island and you don't live there, right?
Yeah.
You really need those resources that are there and them to be responsive, to be good, have a whole team. That's what really makes the difference.
Yep.
And made the difference for us.
Yep. And what was great is they didn't charge any, additional fees. I mean, obviously stuff could change over time, but they weren't paying additional fees to like do all that work, because obviously they're getting a percentage on the rental income. So anyways, we were really impressed with that. So finally, the last step, number 8, is to actually close on your property. So that's the most exciting part. So if you get to step 8, congratulations, you officially have a home away from home that can also either make you money or just be a really fun place that you can spend your time once you're retired early. So we hope you enjoyed this video, and talk to you soon.
Cheers.
Cheers.